Hello, my name is Ashley Spittle, and today I'm going to be discussing with you all, do film adaptations of musicals give the original on-stage shows justice? Yeah, this is a captivating debate that will be discussed by me, so let's crack on. Before we begin, we're going to discuss some musical film adaptations that you may already be familiar with, such as Chicago, Cabaret, West Side Story, Wicked, Dear Evan Hansen, Cats, 13, Mean Girls, Into the Woods, and The Prom, and there are many, many more. So first, we're going to be taking a look at Chicago, and we're going to see, did this film adaptation give the original show justice? Let's take a look. So, the film adaptation of Chicago was released in 2002, based on the 1975 stage musical. The musical discusses the corruption in Chicago during the Jazz Age and explores themes such as scandal, fame, and crime. Now, the film was actually highly praised for the cast's performance and went on to win 6 Academy Awards in 2003, including Best Picture, making it the first movie musical to win this award since Oliver, which was in 1968, so very impressive. Both leading actresses, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger, received awards for their performances in the film. Zeta-Jones won several awards, one for Best Supporting Actress, and that was an Academy Award, the British Academy Film Award for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, and the Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Supporting Actress. And Zellweger, I'm 90% sure I'm not pronouncing her name correctly, but anyway, she actually won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Comedy or Musical, which is very impressive. And this particular film was the 10th highest rated film of the year, predominantly in the US, which is, again, very impressive. I did do some research onto an online musical theatre forum to see what the public thought of this film, and one comment stated that there was no weak musical number in the film. The opening is really good, but then it keeps building the energy back until the final number. And as Chicago is known for its high energy traditional jazz MT hits, musically, you could argue that this film adaptation definitely served the show very well. The Guardian, however, did make note of some of the scene changes that occur in the film, such as when there is a tap dance section out of a tight spot in court and into the jury's affections, and because that happens in a blink of an eye, in short, that's when it starts to look like a film. It says here, I left feeling that this had been unambitious and a bit of a missed opportunity. So you could argue that from this perspective, the way the scenes were changing, obviously because it is a film, it kind of loses the performance aspect of it, which you would expect from a film adaptation in a sense. But as this is very showbiz presented anyway, you could say it does lose a bit of that feel. The Guardian did also discuss that Chicago is a very difficult show to open out cinematically for the simple reason that it's almost entirely set in a prison, which is quite hard to get the same feel on screen. They also stated that it looks like a very expensively filmed record of the theatre production on a giant soundstage rather than a living, breathing film on its own account. So you could argue that to some extent the film did serve the onstage musical very well, but maybe wasn't as strong as a standalone film. They also discussed how Marshall does throw away some of the song Mr. Cellophane. He isn't allowed to get to the end of the song, so you don't actually get the full effect of him whimpering "Thanks for listening," which obviously does appear in the show but doesn't in the film. So you could argue that the song does become less effective and less meaningful in the film as opposed to the stage version. So I did actually consult with my housemates to see which one they preferred, whether they preferred the Chicago film or the onstage musical, and 4 out of 5 members voted for the onstage musical. So yeah. Next we'll be looking at Into the Woods. So I will be mainly focusing here on changes to the storyline that sometimes do happen in these film adaptations of musicals, and Into the Woods is a big one for this. So the Into the Woods adaptation had many changes to the original storyline, which included a major reduction of the significant role of the mysterious man who manipulated much of the action in the first act and is obviously eventually revealed to be the baker's dad. Additionally, the character of the narrator was also cut, and in the film, it is instead narrated by the baker and is essentially just used as like a background voice during the film that doesn't actually happen throughout. So you could argue that in this sense, in the film, some very key character moments and characters have been cut from the film version. So another plot point that is not referenced is the death of the witch. In the original stage production, she traditionally would stab herself or melt. And in this particular version, she simply just disappears. Similarly, for characters such as Jack's mom, their deaths are nowhere near as brutal in the film compared to the onstage production. So based off of this information, it could be argued that this film fails to reference many of the darker themes explored in the stage musical and excludes key parts of the plot which may not give the audience the full effect of the story. I did, however, look at some reviews from RottenTomatoes.com, and someone commented that they loved the musical score, the stories are diabolically refreshing, having hearing the originals, and Meryl Streep and the rest of the cast were perfect. Very good movie. So this person was very impressed with the casting of this show, of this film, which is obviously a massive positive because you want good casting for those roles that you have seen in the onstage production to make sure that those characters are served well as the musical as a whole. So that's good. Some would argue that the score within this film definitely gave the incredible music that exists within this show some justice, and many felt that the performance of the cast made this an enjoyable watch and would again bring in a wider audience to this musical, especially people who may not be able to afford to go and see the stage production. They're able to watch it in the comfort of their own homes, which is lovely. So that definitely brings in a larger audience for this film and other film adaptation musicals, which is lovely. I again asked my housemate which one they prefer, and 4 out of 5 members again voted for the onstage musical, but very strong film. So next I will be discussing the musical 13. Now, vocally, the film adaptation of 13, the musical, has received a lot of backlash in regards to its use of auto-tune. I do apologise about the notifications. A comment on Reddit that I found said the auto-tune is so easily heard. So it could be argued that this takes away from sort of the naturalistic feel of singing live that you would get in a stage musical. So it definitely feels less like a musical in a sense. I looked closer on different review sites regarding the film, and many people felt as though this was not a proper adaptation of the stage show, and that the vocals, changes to the storyline, and overall setup of this film was a wasted opportunity. I have listed a couple of reviews that I was able to find on this film, and most of them are relatively negative from what I've seen. We've got far from the original. I do not accept this is a movie adaptation of 13 the musical. The writers of the movie changed a lot of the funny lyrics and lines, which provided no jokes and no laughs. The show is called 13. It was originally written to be PG-13, not PG, so this person was not happy, and many others weren't as well. Again, I do apologise for the sirens. Brilliant. I did again consult with the housemates on this one and asked which one they prefer, the film or the onstage musical, and 2 out of 5 prefer the onstage musical. So most of our members prefer the film, which is interesting. Next, we're going to be looking at Mean Girls. Now, mostly on many social media platforms, but specifically TikTok, this film definitely had its fair share of jokes and memes made about it. One that I found particularly funny that I thought I'd incorporate to give you an example would be this lovely one of Miss Katie Harron looking very similar to Walter from the Muppets. If you haven't seen this video, go and have a look. It's quite entertaining. So I will be discussing mainly the backlash that this film received on social media. So on platforms like TikTok in particular, many people were upset and disappointed with the production behind the song Sexy specifically, as it had more of a hip-hop feel and was less vocally challenging in the sense that it was more spoken throughout, so it seems less theatrical. There was also quite an obvious use of auto-tune as well, which caused the fans to argue that it felt again, less vocal and less natural, and not realistic of what you would want to hear in an on-stage production of Mean Girls. There was also a fair amount of disagreement regarding the casting of the show, in particular the casting of Cady Harron. Anjari Rice, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, was argued to not be a very strong singer and did not have the vocal capability to fulfil the role of Cady Harron. And this caused many fans of the show to be disappointed by some of the songs in the film and the creative choices that were made within some of them. On the other hand, fans were impressed with the performance of Renee Rapp, who played the role of Regina George, who also played the role on Broadway. So, yeah, she made some very strong vocal choices that were commented on by fans, such as various opt-ups in the song World Burn, which have been attempted by many performers, singers and fans all over social media. So, in that sense, you could argue it's definitely widened the show's fan base and more people are following on to it, which is a positive, so that's lovely. I again consulted the housemates and 4 out of 5 prefer the onstage musical to the film. Finally, I'll be discussing Wicked. So Wicked was released in 2024, as we all know, and was instantly praised and received so much positivity. It was named one of the best films of 2024 by the American Film Institute, and it won many awards, some of them including Best Film at the National Board of Review. Its other nominations were at the 97th Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actress for Erivo, and Best Supporting Actress for Grande, which is lovely. They received 7 nominations at the 78th British Academy Film Awards and a record-tying 5 at the 31st Screen Actors Guild Awards. It also won Cinematic and Box Office Achievement at the 82nd Golden Globe Awards. And the singing for this film was also done live, which gave it a more theatrical feel and more similar to what you would expect from a stage show, and definitely feels more impressive. Other than its awards and insane talent from Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba, many have commented on the pair's relationship on and off screen, which is lovely because it really allowed the characters' friendship to connect really well to the story. Was feedback from the fans, which I looked into, and that is exactly what this show needs, so that's great. In addition, the film had a $150,000, no it didn't, that's a lie, a $150 million budget, and it became the highest rated Oz film, the highest rated musical film adaptation of all time, and the 20th highest rated film released by Universal. And it was also the 5th highest rated film of 2024. A lot of the fans commented on the set as well, specifically, saying it really replicates like the overall look of the stage musical, which is really nice. So based off of this evidence, there is a lot of similarities between the film and the stage production, arguably more similarities out of all of the film adaptations that we've looked at. So that's brilliant. Again, asked the housemates, and 3 out of 5 prefer the film compared to the onstage musical. So, yeah. To conclude, many film adaptations of different shows have done a good job of capturing the themes, music and dancing that these musicals are known for, and we enjoy seeing live on stage. Yet, on the other hand, some adaptations using things such as auto-tune discredits performers who are singing live, say 8 shows a week on stage. It can also be argued that films can struggle to capture the raw emotion in certain songs, having less of an impact on viewers. In addition, in many of these adaptations, many changes are made to the storyline or things are cut out which do not honour the storyline of the original shows, and key moments can be missed. In my personal opinion, I think that these adaptations, if are beneficial to these shows and the industry as a whole, can bring in a whole new target audience and also allows people who may be unable to afford going into the theatre to enjoy these shows in the comfort of their own home, like I've already said. I do, however, agree that they often struggle to capture the captivating and exciting feel of the live show, and I personally find that I'm unable to get as emotionally invested into the show as I may want to. I also have my references attached here. I know I've talked everyone's ear off. Thank you so much for listening. Au revoir.